Good morning to all and welcome to our webinar. I'm Suresh Iyengar, Business Advisor for North Central Texas Small Business Development Center. We are the leading provider of assistance for small businesses. We are grant funded, which allows us to offer services at no cost to you, the business owner. Quick reminder, we will be recording this webinar and then adding it to our YouTube channel. Today's webinar will be interactive, so please feel free to raise your hand, which is the small button at the bottom, if you have a question or comment. Our presenter today is Stacy Kildal. Stacy Kildal is an Advanced Certified QuickBooks ProAdvisor, the first one certified in QuickBooks Online, and the first one to pass Intuit's Payroll certification exam. She's been a member of Intuit's Trainer Writer Network since 2005, and she is celebrating her 20th year running her Michigan-based bookkeeping firm, Kildal Services. She has 5 cats, 2 kids, 1 husband, and enjoys biking, hiking, kayaking, and snowmobiling. Welcome, Stacy, and take it from here, please.
Thank you so much, Suresh. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Fun fact, I'm not on Facebook really at all. I check maybe once a week on Facebook from my computer to see if my business has gotten any messages. And yesterday I happened to log in and it popped up on my memories that yesterday was my 12th anniversary. So October 28th, 2012 was the day I was the first person to QBO certified, which I thought that was a little fun fact I would share. So 12 years and 1 day ago. I actually have, and I don't think I told you guys, we have 6 cats now because I'm insane. So if you hear any noise in the background, it's probably one or multiple of them getting up to some sort of shenanigans. And they may or may not make an appearance because we have a kitten. Because like I said, I'm nuts. That being said, I want to thank all of you guys, the North Central Texas SBDC, for having me back. I love doing these webinars for you guys, and I'm super excited about this one. So this one's pretty meaty. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about. And just to preface before we get into it, it is really it's all Gmail. So I don't use Outlook. I can't even remember the last time I used Outlook. I just turned 50 this year. And so I think maybe when I was 24, it was before I was married that I had to use Outlook, or maybe right after I got married at one of my, what I refer to as real jobs before I started my business. So these are all tools, except for the last one that I'm going to show you that work with directly with Gmail. So just wanted to preface that if you have Outlook, I don't know any of those tools, but I think some of them would work with it. I think the last one does work with Outlook. So one of the things that I want to mention before we go on is just the North Central Texas SBDC in general. It is such an amazing resource for local small businesses in that Tri-County area. You can talk to them about all of the resources that they have, regardless of whether you're a new business or you're an existing business. Check it out, give them a call, or go to their website. They have tons of training, and all of the people that I've met are really, really dedicated to helping the local small businesses thrive, not just survive. So you guys already introduced me. I have been using QuickBooks in some form or another since 1998. It makes me feel kind of old. And looking at this slide, it's 21 years, which I just realized. So that's a lot. I've been doing this for a really long time, so I want to thank you for having me again. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is working with what's called, and I apologize because I believe it is called Google Calendar Bookable Appointment Schedule. So it's a kind of a mouthful to say it, but if you have a paid Google space subscription, which I do for my business, even though my business is really just me. This allows you to set up a schedule that someone can reach out, and they can click a link, you can share the link, you can put it on your website, and they can schedule some time with you. And I really love this. I have, over the last 21 years, I have tried so many different calendar options, and the 3 that I'm going to show you are the ones that I use on a very regular basis depending on the situation. So the bookable appointments, we have a local nonprofit called Oakland Thrive. I live in Oakland County, Michigan, and if you're an Oakland County business, you can sign up for one of their programs, and they have a bunch of service providers like me, and you get introduced to us through one of their counselors, or you know, the people that work for Oakland Thrive. And so I use these bookable schedules. They're very specific to my Oakland Thrive clients, that you can say, hey, there's a 15-minute session, or you can book a longer 2-hour session with me. So I really, really love this. I don't put my appointment scheduler public on my website, because I don't want just anybody to be able to schedule time with me, because that time is paid. And so a lot of people don't realize that, or they'll book something and then I'm going to have to remember to go ahead and send an invoice for it, and they may not realize that it's paid. So I use this, and it is on my schedule every single day, and you'll see how amazing this is. So when you're logged into Google Calendars, and I'm going to go through these slides really quickly, and then I'm just going to dive into the product. You can see you're going to click that create button in the top right, and then you'll go over to appointment schedule, and then you will walk through setting up the schedule. So you're going to click the blue action button. There's a bunch of settings. I'm going to go through all of these and show these to you, and you can set up your availability. And your availability for these bookable appointments with Google Workspace, it's going to be completely different than what you have already maybe set up in your Google Calendar. So in my Google Calendar, I have it set up that my workday is from 9 to 3 every day. And so that's what I see. And this is completely outside of that. I can say that I'm available from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. if that's what I want. So there's a bunch of different settings that we can do with these, where you can say, I need, a little spacer between it. You can say, this is a scheduling that's just going to be for a certain period of time, or you can say, hey, it's available right now and I'm going to use it moving forward. And I'll show you all of this in just a couple seconds.
This is Rosa.
And so what I'm going to do is I will set all of this up. I'm going to show you what it looks like to set up. I'm going to send myself the link, and then I'll book something so you guys can see the whole process from end to end, both from your perspective as a small business owner, and possibly from someone that is trying to book some time with you. So just going through these appointments, you can see, but what I want to do is get right into it. So I actually have, I'm going to cancel that. I don't want that, some spam. So if you have a client or somebody emails you and says, hey, oh, this is the bookable schedule. So I'm going to open up actually Google Calendar here. So let me get over there. And I want to do calendar.google.com. So to set up your bookable calendar, you can see I have some random meetings set up here, right? So I have the webinar that we're doing today set up. I have just something random. And then I said, this is something else that I do every day. I have some recurring stuff. So to set up this bookable schedule, I'm going to click my create over here. And I want to choose appointment schedule. I could just click this. If you get a pop-up like in the slides, you may see that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is my NCT SBDC appointment, and I want this one to be 15 minutes because we're going to call this discovery, right? Discovery call. I'm going to set up my time. So I want this to be a 15-minute window that someone can book with me. I want to say that this repeats every week. Or it could just be maybe a link that I'm sending someone specifically, but I want this to be, I use this, the way that I use this for my business is I want this to be every Monday through Friday, or actually I have mine set up to be Tuesday through Thursday. And so I'm gonna say I'm not available Tuesday, I'm not available Friday, but this is something where I'm available from 8 a.m. to, we'll say 10 a.m. And we'll do that every day, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. for all 3 of these days. It's going to be a 15-minute window. I want to make sure it's in my time zone. As someone who struggles with time zone, and I see my friend Bryce has joined, he knows well how much I struggle with time zones. So I want to make sure that it's in my time zone. And then what I think is really important is I like to be prepared. So one of the things that I found that I personally struggled with calendar, just public calendar invites, was they were really difficult to kind of say, okay, I don't want somebody to be able to create a last minute appointment with me. I want to be prepared for that. I want to be able to maybe reach out to them and ask them any questions. So I want to say they can't schedule something within a certain time frame. So the first thing I want to do is say this is going to be available now. It's going to start now, and you can see as I'm changing these, this block on my calendar actually changes. So if I change this to say maybe 8:30, maybe on Thursdays it's 8:30 a.m., you can see over here that block of time will change. So I'm going to change this back to 8 a.m. And I'm going to say the maximum time in advance. I don't want anybody to be able to book this more than say 30 days in advance. I don't they're probably not going to remember what they scheduled, or maybe I'm going to say, I don't even want them to be able to schedule this, much more than 2 weeks out. And then the minimum time before the appointment, I want to say, I need a full day. I want 24 hours. So if you're looking at this link today to schedule something, you're not going to be able, it's Tuesday while we're recording this, you're not going to be able to record this until, or schedule something until Thursday. And then what I think is pretty cool is you can change a specific date's availability. So what I can do here is I can say, you know what, if I've got little kids, maybe I've got to go to school, maybe on the 31st, because it's Halloween, I'm not available that day, but every other Thursday after that, I am available. And then I can also add some additional days. I can say, you know what, I will be available, at a specific time. So I'm going to go ahead and just say, nope, I'm not available at all on Halloween. And then there's some settings that we want to be able to do. So one of the things that I like is to set a buffer time. I need a little bit of time to sort of maybe recharge. So I want to put 10 minutes in between each 15-minute call or 15-minute session that I do. And then I want to do a maximum bookings a day. For me, I think that's going to be 3. It's going to, my tiny little brain, it might be a little hard to keep straight everybody that I talk to. Even though I do take tons and tons of notes when I'm on the phone, I do want to make sure that I'm really prepared and that I'm available and I'm fresh and I'm giving somebody all of the attention that they can, or I can. And then I want to uncheck this because I don't want someone who has scheduled something with me to be able to invite anybody else. I'm the boss of me and I want to control my calendar. So if I have more than one calendar, I can say, you know what, this would be available for, I have 2 email addresses for my business. I have info@Kildal Services, which is what we're looking for, but I also have Stacy at Kildal Services that I use for my day-to-day. So maybe I'm booking this, if I'm using Google Workspace, I'm booking this for other people on my team or somebody else is on my team, but this is just for me. We want to make sure that we check those calendars for availability. So again, we're just using mine. Do I have any co-hosts? This is where if I wanted to, I could add somebody else on my team as a co-host. I don't, it's just going to be an appointment or a call with just me. Once I get all of this set up, I'm going to go ahead and say next, and then I can give it a booking photo, page, and name, which you'll see. I'll show you the link when we're done. And then this is really important, is you want to be able to select where and how to meet. I use Google Meet for most of my meetings. You can say this is in person, or maybe it's just a phone call. So I will say this is going to be a Google Meet. And then what happens is when somebody books it, my Google Calendar will send the link out or create the Google Meet link. And then in the description, you want to be as descriptive as possible and say, this is a 15-minute call where I get to know about your business and how I can help with your QuickBooks, we'll say, because that's what I do. I'm a bookkeeper. And then the booking form, and I can, I'm going to change that because I mistyped it. You can also customize this, and you can say, looking forward to meeting you, and I can even make this bold. If I had some other stuff, I could, do some, put in some links or whatever. And then I get to my booking form, and this is what you can say is required. So what I want to do is require email verification, which means I'm not going to get any spam with this because it means a human is going to have to verify via email. I want their first name, I want their last name, I want their email address. I don't want their phone number, but I want custom item, and I want to say what version of QuickBooks are you using? And I want that to be required. I want to say Adam, and then I want to add another one. I want this to be a custom item, and I want to say what sort of services are you looking for? Are you interested in, we'll say. And I can require that, and I can add, another one and say, do you like cats or dogs?
Ouch.
And I can add that item. So these are all going to be required of anybody who wants to book this. And then we can set up our booking confirmations and reminder. You're going to get the calendar invite because that's what it is. And then you can set up some email reminders. What I like to do is if somebody is booking ahead of time, I want one day before. And then I also want to set up reminders so that maybe people are reminded maybe 10 or 15 minutes before. So I can say, how about 15 minutes before, and then save. So that means, and so now these are all set up, right? So you can see these are kind of blocked out on my calendar. And if I go to the next week, because I only blocked out Halloween, the next Thursday is available. So this is what's kind of cool. So, but what happens here is if you go back to today, you can see it's still saying that, it's available today because I haven't blocked this out. So let's say something happens and, oh, I have this random meeting tomorrow. I want to turn around and say, you know what, I'm just going to delete this because I don't want anybody to schedule this for today. So this happens to me quite often. I have a 15-year-old and he's got braces, and I have doctor's appointments sometimes, and so something might pop up on a certain day, or I'm going to say, you know what, this day I'm going to take this one off the calendar. All you have to do is click on that, and then you can say delete, and you'll say this week only, and what it will do is it will delete just that day. So, or I can say, you know what, I want to delete every Wednesday, but I don't. I'm just going to say I just need to delete this week on Wednesday because I have this random appointment, and say okay. So once this gets created, when you're on the screen, you can click this open booking page so you can see what it looks like. So I'm not letting anybody book anything unless it's 24 hours prior. So if somebody were to use this link, they're not going to see anything available this week, but they can scroll to next week and they have the option to do that. So they can pick any of these times on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And so they can just click on that if they need to. And they would say, this is Stacy Kildal. This is Stacy at Kildal Services. I can't even type my own email address. I'm using QBO, bookkeeping, and I can say both, but I have cats, right? So you can, these are all those required additional items, and then I can say book, right? So what it's going to do, it's going to ask me to put in an appointment verification code, and you can see, I'll show you this real quick. I'm opening up my other email address that I use to invite myself. There's my verification code, right? And then I'm going to add that in, and I'm going to click submit, and great, good to go, and close. So now what happens is when I'm going back as the person who scheduled this, you can see I now have one of those appointments scheduled. So if I click into that, I now have a Google Meet link. I have the email address of the person that I'm meeting with. I can see who it was booked by. I can have all of those answers. So I have an idea of what the person that's making this appointment wants to talk about with me, so I can be prepared for that meeting next week. You'll notice if I go to my email, let me delete that, some junk mail. You can see that I've gotten an email that says, hey, this appointment was booked. Right? So I also, as the person with the link, not just the person making the appointment, we both get calendar invites for this appointment. And I'll show you that, maybe, right? So you can see as the person who booked the appointment, this is what I get. We both get the same thing. We both get calendar invites saying, hey, you've got this booked. Cool. Are there any questions on this one? I can't see the chat. Let me move that over there. So that's one of my favorite things. And like I said, I use that very specifically for a certain situation that I have. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was Boomerang, right? So I know a lot of people, I think Bryce used to use Boomerang, but I don't think he does anymore because Gmail actually still does a lot of stuff that Boomerang does. But I still love this app. And so Boomerang, basically what it does by default is it will bring emails back into your inbox. But the reason why I like this is because it gives me a little bit of added services, added tools. And one of these are the bookable schedules. So one of the things that you're going to want to do, and you can go to your Google App Store, you can go to boomeranggmail.com. There's a pro subscription, but there is a free option as well. And when you're in your Gmail, once you have it installed, you'll see this little icon right here. And this is going to take you over to your Boomerang for Gmail. One of the first things that I want to do is set up my availability, right? So I can just click on my availability. And if I need to, I can edit any of that availability that I have. So here, maybe I want to say, you know what? We don't want to be available past 3 o'clock every day. So I can say that I am available Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm not available on Fridays, and I'm only available until 3 o'clock. So you want to set up your availability if you're using Boomerang for Gmail, first of all, right? And I'm going to say, okay, scroll down, and we're going to say we're not available on Friday. Nobody needs a meeting on Fridays. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save those changes, right? So that's the first thing that you want to do when you start using Gmail. So the way that I use the scheduling is if I have 2 appointments or 2 emails here. So my Stacy at Kildal Services sent me an email this morning and said, hey, I want to schedule an appointment with you. Can you give me some days and times, some options? And I can say, I sure can. So I'm going to click this, once you install the Boomerang for Gmail, add-on for Chrome, you can refresh your browser and then you'll see this icon every time you open an email. What this allows me to do, just kind of by default, which is what it originally started doing, was just say, I want this to return to my inbox, which Gmail will do for you. But here's where I really love this tool, because I can click the calendar icon and I can say, I want to go ahead and suggest some times. It's going to open up another window, and I'm going to change this, and I'm going to say, you know what, this is Stacy and Stacy meeting. We want to do 30 minutes, so you can set, or you can do a custom. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, well, I know for a fact that I have these booked. So I'm going to say, you know what, I'm actually available today at 1 o'clock for a half hour. I can do 1:30. Tomorrow I can do 11:30. And then maybe that person isn't available this week. I can say, you know what, next week. And here's what you'll notice. My calendar, my bookable calendar from Gmail is not here because those are just availability. But I can say, you know what, I'm going to give them 9 o'clock. And that way I can always, just cancel or tell the bookable schedule that I created in in Google Calendar that I'm not available. Or if I make a mistake, I can say, oh, you know what, I know that I'm scheduled until, 10 o'clock every day for my, my SBDC calls that I have set up. So I'm going to say 10:15, and then give some options for the next week. Here's what's super, super cool is I can say, I don't want to include my free or busy availability. I don't want anybody seeing whether, like, how empty my appointment is. I mean, look at how blank these dates are, right? They don't need to see when I have time available, right? So I'm going to say, no, I want to make sure that I prevent any double booking. But what I also want to do is tell Boomerang for Gmail that to reserve these times on my calendar, and I'll show you what that means, so that I don't like manually double book myself. And here's where I love this. Then I click insert into email, and this is what it shows. So it says, and you can set up the message that comes with it, and mine just says, here are some times that I'm available, and then it gives instructions. Please just click a time that works for you in the image below, and calendar invitations will be sent to both of us. So I'm going to go ahead and send this. And what's really cool about this is if I go to my calendar, those times are booked, right? So this is booked out right now. So I won't be able to schedule anything later today or tomorrow, or those 2 slots that I did for next week. Now, how does this look for the recipient? So I'm going to open that up and bring that over there, and I'm going to show you what they see. So the recipient sees this, and I'm going to say, you know what, let's do, today. Oh, she's available. I can make a meeting with myself today. I'm going to go ahead and choose. And it's going to pull this up, and I'm going to say Stacy K. It's going to ask for my email address. I can add a note if I need to, or what I'm going to do is just say confirm. So what's going to happen is once I do that, I can go to my own calendar, the recipient, and look. But if I go back into, my email, I get an email confirmation that says Stacy scheduled this appointment. She chose this from Boomerang, and then I can see it on my calendar as well. Right? So if I go, you'll notice that the times that I set aside next week, those are now gone. And all that's left is the appointment that the recipient scheduled with me. I use this all the time. I mean, I use this almost every day. So the other option that I can use with Boomerang for Gmail is if somebody says, hey, can you meet me today at 3 o'clock? And I can look at my calendar and I can say, yeah, it's today. I actually have time available. Oh, nope, 3 o'clock. I cannot do 3 o'clock. But maybe I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and delete that, because this is this thing that I do every day. It's something that maybe I have on my calendar, set aside to do. Maybe I can push this. So I'm going to just rearrange this and say, you know what, I can do this at 4 o'clock. I can just rearrange this. And so then I'm going to go back to the email. I'm going to click the calendar icon again. And then what I'm going to do is just straight up say, I'm going to create an event. This person is specifically saying, can you meet at 3 o'clock? I can. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to create that event, and I'm going to say, the meeting you requested. They requested it to be 3 o'clock. So I'm going to change this to 3 p.m., not a.m. No one wants to meet at 3 a.m. I mean, it could. And then we're going to say, you know what, we'll do this for 20 minutes, 3 p.m. And what I can do here is say I want to add a Google Meet. I'm going to say save, and I want to send the calendar invite, and I want to, because it's today, I want to say, maybe 2 hours. Right, so at 1 o'clock, we'll both get a notification. And then I can just go ahead and add event. And what's going to happen here is that is now going to show up on my calendar, the meeting that they requested. It's got the Google Meet link. It also has copied the body of the email into the notes for that meeting. And then the recipient, you can see here, also gets that meeting that was requested and they can say that, the person they emailed and said, hey, can you meet at 3 o'clock? And they can respond and say yes. So they'll still get the invite. It doesn't automatically add it to their calendar. They still have to accept the invite. Do we have any questions about that? I'm going to go through my slides a little bit so you can see some of this. I know I'm going really fast. I feel like I'm going too fast, but there's really a lot about these products that I love. I mean, I really love these services. So these are just kind of some screenshots of what you've seen with that Bookable, suggesting times and all of that. Boomerang uses a bookable schedule, but I don't use that. I actually just use the GCal one. Because I have Workspace, but if you don't have like a paid Workspace subscription, you can see in the screenshot there is a bookable schedule option available if you just have a regular GCal account, and you can pay for, the $15 a month for or whatever with the Boomerang for GCal. So, and then this just kind of shows you what all of these, what we just went through, some times that I'm available, and they can click. I just really love this. So, right. So when you get this handout later, all of this is going to be on there. Everything that I have been showing you, there is step by step, every single screenshot I added to these handouts. I love these tools. The last thing I want to talk about is Doodle scheduling. So Doodle scheduling is a whole different animal. So Bryce and I used to be, we are technically former trainers for Intuit. Intuit disbanded their trainer and writer network earlier this year, in April of 2024. But one of the things that was kind of a common issue, because there was about 8 or 10 of us trainers, one of the things that was sometimes a problem was sort of like, wrangling all of us to say, hey, are you available? What days and times are you available? And I actually found this tool quite a few years ago when we were all trying to schedule a time that everybody was available. And that's what I use Doodle for. And I use it, it's free. I don't have the paid subscription for it. And what I do when I use this is when I want to set a meeting with multiple people. Maybe there's 3 or 4 people, and I don't want to have 100 different emails going back and forth. Like, no, I'm not available at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, but I'm available at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. Well, I'm not available at 11 o'clock on Wednesday. I can only do, 3 o'clock on Tuesday. That just would probably kill my soul. I'm not, to be honest, like it would just be very exhausting. I think anybody would agree that that is pretty exhausting to have to deal with that. So what Doodle does, it allows you to create an account, sync up. You can use the iCloud calendar. So if you're using an iPhone or you're using iCloud for your calendar system, you can use Outlook, Office 365, or any other, like basically a Hotmail account, any Microsoft account, or you can use Google. So this is the only thing that that I'm talking about today that works with Office 365 or Outlook. But this also works with Google. And what's great is it doesn't matter what the recipients are using, right? So these are just things that I'm connecting on my end as the meeting suggester, right? So you're going to create your account. This is kind of how you do that. I've used, it allows you to use your Google account so you can do that single sign-on. And then once you create that account, you're just going to connect your calendar, which you see over here on the left. You can see you can do Google, Office 365, or other Microsoft options. And then iCloud, you're going to click connect. You'll connect the account. And then you can see there's different pricing for this. If there's a free version, there's one that's $6.95 a month that has some other options that I don't think I've ever used. And then there's up to 8, it's super cheap, $9 for 5 users if you have people that work with you. So what you're going to do once you create your account is you're going to hit that plus create button and you're going to create a group poll. This is the only thing I've ever used it for. So I can't speak to, like, it lets you do like a sign up sheet. It lets you, create a one-on-one meeting, but I don't need that because I use Boomerang for that. It lets you create a booking page, but I don't need that because I use GCal. And I know I have this all cobbled together, but I am very picky about the software and the apps that I use. And after, 19 years, 21 years of running my business, I know what I want. I know what I need. And so I don't mind using different tools for different situations, right? So like the Google Bookable Calendar that I talked about, that is very specific for my Oakland Thrive clients. Boomerang is what I use every day, all day, for anybody who asks me for an appointment. And then the Doodle I use much less frequently, and that what you'll see here is kind of what I use to do cat herding, which is actually the title of the meeting that I used in my screenshots, right? So this is saying, hey, I'm trying to schedule a virtual meeting. That's the description for 4 people. It's going to be, it allows you to set up like video conferencing. So like I said, I use Google Meet, and then you're going to pick and choose some times. There are some settings where you can, like, the only reason, I think if I was still a trainer, I would probably consider the like $6 a month if I had to do this often to set a deadline. I mean, that would probably be the only thing I would set, because I want somebody to be able, like, I want somebody to pick a date and time by a specific day. But otherwise, like, it doesn't matter, right? So those are all of the settings that you get in the pro version, which honestly I've never used those. But if you wanted, they're there. I love the deadline one. I'm not gonna lie. So then once you get that created, you have a link, and you can copy that link and you can just send it in an email. So it's gonna say, you'll get an email confirmation saying, hey, you've scheduled this, and your invite for cat herding, which is what I call it, has been successfully created. And then what the recipient sees is this. It says, hey, here are the options. And then everybody can select different days and times that work for them. So I'm going to go over here to my Doodle scheduling, and we're going to archive that. And I'm going to just delete all of this stuff because we don't need it. So I'm going to say, I've already logged into my account. And so what I want to do is I want to go to my plus create, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you guys see. I want to do that group poll, and I'm going to call this cat herding, not herd, cat herding again. And then we'll say, please reply by, EOD, we'll say 11/1/24. I'm trying to find a time that all of us, well, I'm having a hard time typing, all of us can meet. Where is this going to happen? I want video conferencing. I have it set up, so I want Google Meet, right? But you can see, you can use WebEx. If you have the pro version, you can have Microsoft Teams, you can have Google Meet, or you can connect your Zoom account. I'm using Google Meet, and we just need the 30 minutes. We just need 30 minutes. We don't even need an hour of everybody's time. So I don't want to make anybody choose a time today. Let's say we do, we'll set some options, and I'm going to tell everybody all day Thursday on Halloween. But then I'm like, well, no, it's Halloween. People might have kids. They got to get ready. They're going to school. I'm going to say, you know what? Let's do a couple times on Friday. Go to next week. I don't want to do, nobody wants a meeting on Monday. I don't like meetings, can you tell, in general, but I don't like them on Mondays. I don't like them on Fridays. I don't want to do Tuesday because that's the election day, I know. So I'm going to say, let's do maybe 11 o'clock. And this is where you want to be conscious of time zones, right? So let's say I know that everybody in this meeting is in Eastern time zone. So it's okay if I schedule a 9 o'clock Eastern time zone. That way, because I know nobody's on the West Coast and they don't have to get up for 6 o'clock. So I'm trying to give them as many options as possible, or maybe I don't, because I want them to just pick a day and time. So I'm just going to give them a few. Right? And so now I can say create and share. These are the pro options. I'm not going to do any of those, but I'm going to say I want to create and share, and I can copy that link. And so now I can send it, and we're going to send it to myself. And I'll say, let's all meet. And I'm going to just put in the link so you guys can see it. So I'm going to send it to myself. I'm going to send it to another one of myself. So if anybody is using, like they have like Gmail as their mail server, like I do for Kildal Services, or they're using Gmail, one of the cool things is if you add plus meeting, like if you need like a different email address and you want to use it for filtering, or you like I'm trying to send 2 emails to the same email address, but I can't put in the email twice, you can do a plus and then whatever word after the name, and Gmail just will send it to the same email address. The other thing that you can do as well is if you have, I'm going to say yes. I don't know why that's not letting me. Yep, there we go. The other thing is I have an email address called stacykildal@gmail.com. If you put in a period anywhere in that, these 2 email addresses are effectively the same thing. So that's another thing that Gmail doesn't recognize, is if you put a period in the middle of a name, right? So I'm going to just say there, and I'm going to also say stacykildal@gmail.com, right? And so then I'm going to send. So it looks like I'm sending this to 4 people. It's actually going to come all to the same email address. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, kind of what it looks like. You can see as somebody who created it, it's going to say, hey, your invite is up and running. And I can go to that invite to see who has responded to it. And so right now it looks like no one has responded. You know, it's just me. If I have the pro version, I can add a participant. And let me go over to my other email address and show you what that looks like. Right, so here's what that email looks like from the recipient, right? So just exactly what I sent. And you can see I sent it to 4 people. So if I click on that link, I'm going to be the first one. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to start voting. And I'm going to say, you know what, for me personally, I can meet on Friday either at 10 or at 11:30. And then I can also meet Wednesday at 9 o'clock. And I'm going to click continue. I'm going to put in Stacy K, and we'll just say Stacy@KildalServices.com. And then I'm going to confirm that vote. So it's just saying, hey, these are the options that I have. If I click on that link again, we'll just pretend that we're another person. I think it'll let me. Oh no, it's not. I'd have to use it's okay, because I'm using the same browser. So now if I go as the sender, as the organizer of this event, if I go refresh and look at this, I can say, oh, the first Stacy has said that they can meet on these times. And so then what I would do is wait for the other 3 people to respond, and whichever ones were all green, that's when I would say, let's book it, right? And I would just go ahead and we're going to do, November 1st at 10 a.m. Or I can say, you know what, I want to reopen this and let's do it on, the 6th. We'll do it after the election. And then I can say book it and it'll say, hey, November 6th, and we're good to go. So it's all booked. And then if I go back over to email address, you can say, hey, it was booked, and it's going to show up on my calendar, right? So if I go to my calendar here, you can see there's my cat herding. And because I have a discovery call on that morning and I have the cat herding, what I'm going to do with my bookable here is I'm going to say, you know what, I don't want any of those discovery calls. So I'm going to delete for this week only. So those are not bookable. And that's my scheduling options. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Stacy, I had a question on this intake form. Is there one for any of these tools where if you're offering a group of services, say you're offering tax filing or bookkeeping, or you're just doing some other service, right? So you have 3 different services.
Yeah.
Can you group them, and can you have an intake questionnaire
Yeah.
the person can fill out?
Yep, so what I can do here is I can create another appointment schedule, right? So I've got these, they're all done, but they have to be made between 8 and 10. I can create a completely different appointment schedule, and I can call this, you know, tax planning. We don't want to do it on, maybe I leave Monday and Friday, so maybe I'm not even scheduling these, but maybe I want those. So I don't like to work, I don't like appointments on Mondays, Fridays. So maybe here I say the first one is going to be at 10:30 a.m. The last one is going to be at 12:30. So I'm going to block out 2 hours, and I'll do that, you know, for these 2 days of the week. And I'm going to say, okay, I don't want it to be here. I don't want, I want, you know, maybe 30 days. I want 24 hours. My booked appointment settings, we got those. We got change the dates availability. We want co-host. We don't need any of that. So then you can put in your description, and you can set expectations here to put in whatever you need. And then with the booking form, this is where you can put in whatever you need, right? You know, do you currently have a tax preparer? You can put in whatever questions you want. I don't know what other questions that Bryce
Excellent,
would
thank
want.
you.
And then you can add as many as you want, and those are required. So the user, the person scheduling this, would have, those are required answers. They wouldn't even be able to get through the booking form unless they put something in there. Now, whether they actually answer the appointments, because you can't dictate what the answer is, because when you do a custom item, it's open-ended, right? Like how they answer it. You can't say, you know, put in any like criteria that's required for the answer.
Like check boxes or radio
Right.
buttons and things like that. Okay.
Yeah, yep. And so that's what this would look like. If we look at the booking page, and we go to, this is what it would look like. Do you currently have a tax preparer? And whatever other questions you had related to tax prep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from anyone? Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot. I know that this was a lot of information, a lot of information today. But I really like, these are all the tools I use, all of them on a very regular basis.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you all for joining us today. We will be sending out a survey asking for your feedback on today's webinar. We also have some upcoming webinars in November, as you can see on the screen. You can go to our SBDC website, register for these webinars, get contact information, schedule an appointment with any of the advisors, and also get resources for small business owners. At this moment, I'd like to thank our funding organizations, the Small Business Administration, the State of Texas, North Texas SBDC Regional Office, and the North Central Texas College. Thank you all for joining today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. This ends our webinar.